Education to order and ask that you join me this evening in a moment of silence. Thank you. And will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sue, you want to read the mission statement? Sure. Okay, thank you. And then Sue Flynn will read our mission statement.
The Waterloo Schools community commits to a comprehensive system of education and support to assure that each and every student will graduate prepared for college, career, and citizenship, as evidenced by continuing education, pursuing a career path, and contributing to a community.
Thanks, Sue. The next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. And I just want to check and see if there's anyone here this evening that wishes to address the board. And if so, you may come forward, state your name and address. All right. Then seeing none, we'll move then to the next item on our agenda, which is the consent agenda. And this evening, it consists of the following 6 items: the minutes of the May 5th, 2017 special board meeting and the May 8th, 2017 regular board meeting, personnel appointments and adjustments, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings, the West High football players to the University of South Dakota in Vermillion, South Dakota, the Iowa Association of School Boards 2017-2018 membership dues, and board meeting dates. Are there any items, actually, can I get those, can I get a motion to put the consent agenda on the table?
So moved.
Thanks, Jesse. All right, I'm going to Sue. Yes, thanks, and Jesse seconded. Are there any items that board members wish to have removed?
Item B is in boy.
Item B as in boy.
And D.
D.
Item B and item D. Anything further? Great. Then all those in favor of approving items A, C, and E and F, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That takes us then to item B on page 5. And the recommended motion is, just a moment, I have to get to it, that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Thanks, Sue. And a second? Thanks, Angie. And discussion.
Okay, I just had a question in reviewing this, and I was very intrigued, Bev, and so I want to hear all about the Hip Hop Literacy Summer School Program.
I should have somebody rap a few bars. No.
Well, Bev will be leading it.
I do that. I can do that. Charles, you want to talk about that?
Charles is a hip hop.
Well, I'm actually more grunge, but I have hip hop in my family. One of the approaches that has been coming out of the University of Northern Iowa, Dr. Meacham, has been doing hip hop literacy with African American students over the last couple of summers through development of a 501c nonprofit. And what we've seen is significant student engagement. And so we have entered in partnership with this 501c nonprofit, but we're going to be adding the writing component. And so we'll be using Lucy Calkins, which has been at the elementary and middle schools. We'll be providing 3 of our own staff members who are well-trained in Lucy Calkins, and to integrate into culminated events. So the hip-hop portion is actually production, not just of the music itself, but all the business aspects of it, the entrepreneurship of it. And then we're adding the piece of using Lucy Calkins to develop writing rubrics that will fit into next year. The focus is middle school, and the focus is with our African American community, and the focus, of course, is the music of engagement. And I had the pleasure of witnessing, and Dr. Smith and I witnessed last year's production, and it was outstanding. And we feel like with supporting and collaboration, and again, that strong writing component, that we're going to get some great results this summer.
And then how many students get to participate? How do they get to participate?
We're looking at 40 students, and right now the recruitment will be up and running real fast from our 4 middle schools. And again, we hope to have a 4-hour program. And it would be coming probably 10 a.m. to 2, and breakfast and lunch.
Okay, and where at?
We're looking at Cunningham will be our site, and then Mount Carmel.
Okay. And do they have a performance at the end or something?
We have culminating events, yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's really important. One of our big focuses is building skills towards authentic tasks. And there's nothing more authentic than hip-hop and its cultural relevance.
Right. So you will let us know when that is.
We will send out invitations.
Perfect.
But I'm real excited. Again, it's the community partnerships, and it's locating the needs of our students within, again, their very strong cultural ties.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that the only summer school we have going this year? Do we still have third grade, or did we cancel that?
So we have a partnership where we're supporting the Cedar Valley, and we are having that at 2 schools, and it will be, I believe, at Becker and at Irving, and we're hoping to serve 200 students. But again, that's a Cedar Valley partnership. And then we also have English language learners summer school, and again, extended school year for special education.
And then there's summer school options for high school. And then you've heard about the hip hop for the middle school, and then the elementary reading initiative. And then the other thing that we're trying for the first time is that there will be weekly preventing the summer slide events in the Cedar Valley, Cedar Falls and Waterloo together, doing that every single week. There will be an event. And so Tara is promoting and will be promoting even more. We're putting the final touches on that, but every single week we would hope that parents would take their kids to these events. We would hope that every single person sitting here in the audience would look at our elementary kids, and if you don't have one, you're gonna partner with somebody, talk to a neighbor and see if you can take their kids, or don't steal anybody's child. It would be talking with people in your church, in your in an organization, whoever, maybe somebody you work with. You're going to spread the message and share the message to them so that they are bringing their children. The research is that if you can keep kids from sliding backwards during the summer, you actually can go further during the year. And so we've had the McElroy Trust has been very helpful in working with us. I'm trying to think who else.
Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club,
I got
the
the
Chamber,
YMCA.
the Y, the
I got
YM,
one
the
from
YW.
Dan Gable Museum today as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, it really is
So-
a community effort, and it's the first time we're doing it. So we really need people to grab your kids, take them to these events. I know that I've got 2 elementary readers in my home, and so we will be going to all of the events that we can go to. And I think everyone should do the same. They're going to do a really big focus on book giveaway, talking with parents on how to help your kids. So that is a significant thing, and it is a change from anything we've ever done before. We will keep you posted at board meetings, and I know Tara will be doing press releases and media releases so that we can let people know. So
But this is different than the third grade retention.
that is right. That's
yes.
Well-
or the summer school piece with the
So we-
200 kids. That is not.
So we dropped the third grade retention.
We are not retaining kids based on one score.
But nor are we offering them summer school if they're behind.
We are not doing a retention summer school that you either attend or leave. And that legislation was actually dropped, and I know we could have absolutely done that. The funding also was dropped with that. Yeah.
But some of these 200 could be
Absolutely,
30.
they
Yeah.
they will be younger than third grade, but it really is an initiative with us, and we partnered with communities. So part of the issue with summer school has always been getting kids to come, and so we are they can come in the morning and get the instruction, and then they're getting kind of a social emotional curriculum in the afternoon, and there's partnering with the Y to do childcare after they're taking the lead on that. So a lot of times one of the barriers to attendance is that parents can't stop at noon from their job and go get their kids and transfer them to a daycare. So they will be staying with us for that amount of time. And so this is a model that has been tried elsewhere. Council Bluffs has done some things like this, and the students would go to instruction in the morning, and then they would actually go to the zoo, and they would do jobs at the zoo as part of a learning experience. And so we're doing that. It is there is significant work involved in launching this, and so we're trying it, hoping that we could start it now with a smaller number of students, the 200, and then scale it up as we go.
And they did a pilot program at Irving last year that was really successful.
They did.
So it's a program that they did at Irving
Right.
last year, and they're extending it. And what I believe, if I'm not correct, is that those don't necessarily have to be your home school, but you do have to provide your own transportation. So if you can walk there, if your parents can take you there,
Right.
you just have to sign up for the program.
Right. But the good part is it's not transferring home during the middle of the day. If they just get them
They
there
can
in the morning
stay.
and then they stay and then it is open. I believe they actually will provide childcare up until 6 o'clock at night. So
Correct.
we're removing one of the barriers that has existed for students who are less than proficient to attend. And so we're really excited. And you coupled that along with the weekly reading events that
Which I just wanted to drop Tara. I keep forgetting to call Mr. Hanna to say we would like to have one of those reading events at Juneteenth on June 17th in Sullivan Park from 11 to 5.
I just wanted to also say how excited I am. I think Professor Meacham is doing an excellent job with the I Am Hip Hop. And for those of you that are not familiar with it, it is a student-focused program. So, when those federal funds dry up, or what have you, this is a way for our students to really have a say in their own programming. Number one, it promotes literacy, self-expression, and it also improves reading because they're learning a lot of new words and phrases and ways to express themselves artistically. So this is a really great program, and so for those of you who are not familiar with it, and I think a couple years ago the Courier did an article about the I Am Hip Hop, and I think we had a teacher here, Lamont Muhammad, that worked with that program as well.
He's working it.
And he does an excellent job. So if you've not had an opportunity to look into the I Am Hip Hop, it is very relevant. It has relevancy, so I hope that everyone supports it.
And I got a request from a parent, and you may already do this, I just didn't know where to direct them. But with all the different community resources and like different events available for the summer, to just have a collaborative effort somewhere, if it's a site on the district or some site that lists, preventing the slumber slide, you can do this, Boys Girls Club here. I mean, not necessarily, but just something that would encompass and encapsulate everything so that they could go to one spot and they don't have to search, because I know parents sometimes are really like, where can I take my kid? And if it's there, I mean, even the magical movie thing, you could put on there, they can go to a movie for $2.
I know we could do a link to Waterloo Leisure Services. They have a lot of things for young people, so maybe we can do a link to that.
And Cedar Valley Reads is the new name, right, Dr.
Cedar Valley
Lindemann?
Reads.
Cedar Valley Reads, or Cedar Valley Readers.
Maybe
Whatever.
it is Reader, because I just did Reads and it didn't come up, so I'm just
The
looking
Cedar
at
Valley
Readers.
and they actually have a website which will have all of the
Home of
things
Cedar Valley
listed on it.
Readers.
Readers.
Cedar Valley
Okay.
Readers.org. And there's but we can do a link off of our website to that because people wouldn't necessarily know that. So click here to find out all of the literacy events in the community. So
Great idea.
yeah.
I think the Grout has stuff. I think the YW does. So
Yeah.
great. All right. Is there anything further then on that on the personnel issue? We kind of got into summer school too with it, but exactly. It's all right. Great. Then all those in favor of approving the personnel appointments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thank you. That takes us then to Exhibit D, which is on page 21, and that recommended motion is the Board of Education approve the West High School football trip to the University of South Dakota in Vermillion, South Dakota.
So moved.
Thanks, Jesse. And a second?
Second.
And discussion? You know, we've got Coach here in the audience, and Coach Moore, see if there should be a button that says push and a little green light.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep. Well, we are looking to take our young man to another team camp. We've done that for the last 7 years. This is our fourth different team camp that we have been to. So our guys have got us a little bit of experience of going to different ones. This team camp is in South Dakota. The reason we have gotten connection with the South Dakota camp is we went to Western Illinois about 3 years ago, and that coaching staff have all went to South Dakota. So they left Western Illinois and went to South Dakota, and we really enjoyed that camp at that time. So that's why we thought they really took care of us, treated our kids like, they were the best kids out there, and they enjoyed it. So we decided to go to South Dakota this year. It's a 3-day camp. We'll be there for 2 nights. The kids are staying, and they don't know this yet, but it's air-conditioned dorms, so it'll be the first time.
Don't tell them.
We've been in air-conditioned dorms, so we always been in regular dorms, so they're going to be excited when they hear that part, too. Going down with 5 coaches as of right now. We just had a little bit of turnover in our coaching staff, so when we hire more, decided whoever else is going on staff, then we see if they can go also, so that'd be another opportunity for us. But it's a great opportunity. Our kids get to work with their coaching staff on different skills and techniques. We also get to practice down there, and we also scrimmage other teams from across the Midwest at the same time. So it's a great opportunity for our guys. We really like the bonding experience our kids get, to stay in the dorms together, to be together at night and kind of enjoy each other and get to know each other a little better than what they do just on the practice field.
How many players are going?
We usually take about 30 to 40, depending on who else wants to go and sign up. Everyone's welcome in our program from 10th grade on to 12. Sometimes we take a couple incoming 9th graders, depending on, number-wise, but you usually take about 30 to 40 kids.
Thank you.
And Coach, it looks like they've already raised the money that they need. They're paying for their busing. They're taking care of their own way to get there.
Correct. We have we do a fundraiser every year that's called a Lift-a-thon that we do every year. It's very successful for us, and it's really, really for the things that we need to get done. So that helps out with our busing and things. They all pay individually for their camp fees. We have in the past taken care of kids that could not have done that, so we do that with that fundraising money also.
Great.
And I would also note, too, that this is for West High, but Pam did check with the East High coach as well, and they will be attending 3 camps as well. Theirs happen to be in the state of Iowa. So as you know, the board policy is if you're traveling out of state and overnight, it has to, then that must come before the board, which is why this is here right now. So the ones for East High, in case anybody's curious, they are going to the one at Iowa State, one at Ellsworth Community College, and then also one at Iowa Central. So they will be attending 3, but they're just not out of state, so they won't come here.
Or overnight.
Well, they might be overnight, but they have to be out of state and overnight as
okay.
per our board
I thought
policy.
If they were overnight, then we had to do
if they're
that too.
overnight, no, it's out of state and overnight needs to come here.
Okay.
Before you.
And I just want to say thank you for checking on that because that was coming. I was going to.
It's not our first rodeo. It's not
not
our
our
first
first
rodeo,
time.
Angela.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Is there anything else for Coach Moore? All right. Thank you very much. It'll be exciting, and good luck to the guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just want to throw in one plug real quick. We're trying something new tomorrow. We're calling the 8th grade signing day. So we're inviting all our incoming 8th graders who's going to play football at West High to come in tomorrow. We're going to sponsor an event with them along with our parent meeting where they're going to come in, and we have a parent meeting with the parents, and we're going to bring them in and have them sign and commit to our program. Tomorrow night at West High starts at 6. They're going to have some cake at the end. I actually got the Iowa State coach to put a video together, which he's going to present to them. And then our guest speaker is Blake Thomas. He's a former player for us. He plays at UNI. He's going to come in and talk to the kids and kind of tell them his experience of playing at Hoover to West and all the things he have done and to get to where he's at now, which is at UNI. So all you guys are more than welcome if you want to come up. It's be our first time. We're really excited about it, and hope we can continue it on for years to come. So thank you.
I did just.
That was a table.
I see that now. I was really,
Woo! Everybody's awake.
And you cannot know the answer to this question, but I don't think that I ever. Do they still have this Shrine Bowl that happens?
Yes.
And then do we acknowledge? I don't think that we've in my 4 years been here been able to acknowledge who those players are. Have they been selected yet? And do you know?
They have been selected. This is the end of July. For us, is my son Devin Moore is going to participate in the Shrine Bowl. We've had a kid from West participating at the last 6 years in a row, which is kind of the coaches kind of pick it the one, so it's kind of hard to get in. Everybody don't get somebody in. So for us to get 6 kids, and Blake Thomas was one that also got a chance to play in the Shrine Bowl, and is actually now here at the Uni Dome.
Yep, it was when I was in high school too.
It used to be at Iowa State. I coached it actually the last year that was at Iowa State, which was in 2012. Then the NCAA came up with something where the kids cannot do any sports on like a Division I campus that big, so they had to do something else. So they chose the Unidome. So it worked out for us. It's right there.
Great.
So every year for the last 3 years, I think, has been at the Unidome. So, and that'll be at the end of July, I want to say. And that's the reason why we chose South Dakota also, because the camp we usually go to is at the same time as the Shrine Bowl, so we couldn't do that one. So, and I don't know if East have anybody. I didn't check the roster. You can always go to the Shrine Bowl roster and see. We're the South team. No, we're the North team. We're the North team. And you can see who's all on there. So.
I just used to always go to that when I was in high
Yeah.
school. I had a friend that played.
It's a good experience. And I think cheerleaders too.
Yep.
And I know we had some West High girls last year. I don't know if there's any this year.
Congratulations to Devin on that too. That's
Thank
great.
you very much. I
So,
appreciate it. Thank you. So,
He's a
thanks,
good
guys.
egg.
I appreciate everything you guys do for our community. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Then all those in favor of approving the West High football trip, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That concludes, actually, tonight, all of our action items, which is kind of awesome. So that takes us then to Exhibit G, which is a wellness update. And I know that Dr. Lee is here, and I see some other smiling faces out there that are going to come present to us. So, good evening.
This is a little tall for me.
Blame that guy ahead of
to
you.
get taller. I don't think that's going to happen. I just want to start by saying I know that you're aware the policy directs the Wellness Committee to provide an update on an annual basis. And I need you to know that that undertaking is not done by one person. It is done by a whole group of people. So there are several people here sitting that I would like to come up, and they're going to introduce themselves and the organization that they represent.
Hi, my name's Nicole Miller. I'm a Food Corps service member for Waterloo Public Schools in partnership with Iowa State University Extension.
And hello, I'm Sue Beach, and I'm with the Blue Zones Project and also the Cedar Valley Good Food Network. So I was very fortunate to serve several different roles on the Wellness Committee.
Hi, and I'm Jackie Preston, and I also represent multiple organizations, co-chair for Cedar Valley Blue Zone in our community, and then also Pathways Behavioral Services.
So these wonderful women and many others who are not here tonight, we've come together multiple times this year to really look at the wellness initiatives, events, and activities that are going on in our schools. So what I want to do is just draw your attention to what's in the exhibit, the board exhibit. The report is very extensive, but I want you to know that it's probably not inclusive. In other words, these were self-reported activities from the people that I worked with on the committee, as well as self-reported by schools. I think there is more out there, and I'm going to talk to that in just a minute. There are 3 sections in the exhibit. It lists the committee members, our recommendations, and then the activities and initiatives. And we certainly are not going to go through those activities and initiatives tonight. If you would have questions, we can answer them, but it's just way too much, and it's just a huge amount of information. And again, I don't believe we've captured everything, and the recommendations, I believe, are very important for us to look at. So we came up with these recommendations, and I want to draw your attention specifically to numbers 2, 3, and 4. It's our belief that these recommendations are the 3 key recommendations that will leverage other things that need to be done in the wellness, the area of wellness. So number 2 is reestablishing the Wellness Committee. We had a great committee this year, but we didn't have the representation we truly wanted from the schools. We're not able to get them into the table to have the conversation with us. And it's also believed that who was on the committee was not representative of the subgroups who are in our community or the students who are in our schools. And that has to be changed. So we really believe that we need to establish that with the secure representation that we've listed there in recommendation number 2. And then number 3 and 4 kind of go together. Number 3 is talking about creating an ongoing documentation system that we can track all the initiatives, the activities, the partnerships that are going on with the various organizations in our district, with our schools, in regard to the wellness activities, all of that. We need to have an electronic documentation system that we can go at any point in time and not depend on 1 year, and if we don't get to make that wellness annual update, it's 2 years out, which in this case happened to us. So there has to be something that's there that we can always look at and always review. And then number 4 is ensuring that each school has a wellness committee. That committee, there would be representatives from that committee that would serve on the district committee. That gives us then a sustainable, tightly woven structure that will provide the backbone for the continued wellness work in our district. So that also is a great example of distributive leadership, and it would also guarantee that we have organized, functioning accountability through our schools for the work that needs to be done in the area of wellness. And we've listed under number 4 all of the things that committee would do. I believe there are remnants of that in our schools at this point in time. There are champions in our schools for wellness, those teachers who believe that is just, one of the most important things that we look at and that we work with in our schools. Sometimes it's a PE teacher. Sometimes it's a teacher who believes in gardening and comes in the summer and works with kids in the gardens. Sometimes it's an administrator or a lead teacher. So it's really important for us to establish this structure, and that's our recommendation, that we do that. So there are other recommendations in here as well, and if you would have questions on any of this or any of the activities, we're open to those questions.
I would also recognize, too, that we had Dr. McNulty served on this, and so did board member Kinchy, Mike Kinchy. So they were on that committee as well.
I just wanted to highlight that when we talk about wellness, what that includes, and number 5 under your recommendations says, which I think is really important, adding mental health services. It's meaning in school-based mental health information and expectations to district policy and regulation. I think that's a really key component because obviously mental health is all part and parcel to the wellness. It isn't just fitness and nutrition. Absolutely. So I just wanted to draw that recommendation out. And Rhonda, you keep going, but.
Right. Well, she brought up what I was going to bring up just briefly or quickly. If this is not, if we don't have enough time to do it here, could you just quickly talk to us about what the district currently has in terms of mental health initiatives or help for our students? Success Street, I know, is one. I know we just got a grant about a year ago. But if you could just talk to us about what we are currently doing.
I would love to do that, but I am not the right person to do that, so I cannot give you the information that you need to have on that. We'd want to get Donna Kittrick here to talk to you, or maybe she can do an update on the Thursday update or something like that. I don't know if Dr. McNulty could speak to that, but Donna is our expert in that area. No, I certainly am not.
I can speak to the fact that we're adding more components to our services regarding students who are in crisis. Okay. Traditionally, most districts have a behavioral approach to students who may have temporary crisis or long-term crisis. As Dr. Lee spoke, Donna Kittrick has been a great addition to our student services team. In fact, our entire Waterloo Community School District team. And so she has been bringing in, for example, mental health training to the entire staff, DLT, Ed Services, our administrative team, that's really kind of heightened the awareness regarding our needs regarding crisis and trauma and support. I know that also our special education staff has looked into supporting counseling component now to students who have long-term issues regarding their ability to work within school setting. So we're moving, I think, in the right direction. I think without making too much of a social commentary, unfortunately, the state of Iowa lags behind many of the states in this country regarding services and support for mental health. And tragically, that affects our students and our children.
So let me just add, I kind of already knew the answer to my question, but I just wanted it for some of our viewers. But just on a macro level, the Leader in Me program that's in a lot of our schools really encourages our students to I know we've been doing training for mental health first aid for our staff, but the Leader in Me program really encourages our students to identify and notice students who are maybe having an immediate crisis situation and to have positive regard for individuals. So something as small or simple as that to help know when your neighbor is in a crisis and then know where to get help. So on a macro level, that's what we're doing. I know there's some micro level things that we are doing. And maybe at the next board meeting we can talk specifically about that because our kids are experiencing a lot of mental health trauma. So maybe we can talk about it next month.
Could you outline the main focus we have on staff wellness, what we offer at the present time? I know at one time we had a physical facility out at Central for staff and things like that, and I just wondered what
There is a staff wellness committee, and Mickey Waskett is in charge of that committee, and we hopefully will be able to come in and bring you some information. We have a number of activities. We are looking at ways that we can integrate wellness into our insurance program. We don't have an off-site facility, but many of our local facilities give Waterloo Schools employees a discount for joining. We have weight loss challenges and wellness challenges that we provide prizes for individuals in the buildings, and that's been really successful, and staff really appreciate that. That's pretty much what we're doing thus far.
If you look at Roman numeral 3 under school-based activities to promote wellness, letter U is staff wellness, and Mickey gave me these pieces of information of the things that have gone on this past year or what might be coming up. So Mickey is very, very active with getting this information out and offering lots and lots of opportunities for staff.
I would agree with Dr. Lee on the highlighting, especially recommendation 2 and 3 with engagement on those members. We quite a list of members listed here, but for the most part we would have anywhere from 6 to 10 people attending a meeting.
Correct.
Which is difficult to get positive feedback and things worked out when you don't have the attendance. So definitely had good attendance by the Black Hawk County Health Department, Blue Zones. You know, the food corps was always there. It's frankly the staff that is an issue that I think we need to get someone from each school to be involved with this, to really get the information back as it's requested, and to have all those schools integrating in their information as to what's working and what's not.
I would add to that, Mr. Kinchy, that we also, the measurement piece, we have to really work on the measurement piece and how we're measuring what our goals are. And always in education, that is a challenge for us to measure in ways that are beyond like Iowa assessment, the qualitative and some of the smaller type of quantitative type data that we can get is sometimes difficult, but it's not, it still can be done. And so we need to be looking at ways to measure our wellness as well in our district beyond the quantifiable.
And then beyond that, I guess I would highlight number 9, reviewing physical education programming at all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high school. For I understand that there are exemptions. I think some of those exemptions can be a little easy to attain, and I would like to see if you're getting an exemption for one reason, maybe you can provide some evidence that you're getting physical education in other ways. Cover our the wellness of our children in one form or another as far as physical education and activity. Whether that's not necessarily in PE class, but in other classes where you get up and you move around as part of that classroom, has been discussed at many of our meetings. And then really looking at the exemptions in high school, I think The state provides good guidance with that, but I think that we're maybe allowing a little more than that, and I would like to see that looked at a little closer. I think elementary school, when you're incorporating your PE with your lunchtime, I worry that some of the kids are not getting the exercise they need because they go out and they sit on the playground instead of move around and get activity, which is what they really need. And it's been proven as well that students that have good activity, it promotes endorphins in their brain and helps them learn and keep focused when they do sit down to learn by having that activity as part of their day. So I would definitely promote that number 9 in the future policy.
Also, as we get into CTE and other programs that can take extra class hours, I hope on the opposite coin of the exemptions, we look into individual options that students have, whether it's spinning at the Sportsplex or define the various alternatives. It could be in the summer, it could be anytime. It could be a bike club recording miles and exertion level with their watches, whatever we do. But it seems like I guess I'd be interested in seeing that whole alternative be expanded.
The other thing I was just looking at, just going out for the list, the one area we don't seem to have much guidance on very much, but is we offer various concessions, different things that, after school activities and stuff, where it's athletic, band, whatever, we don't, you really look at the menu items you typically get at those events, they're usually not much in terms of healthy options. Now, we try to do some stuff this year with offering fruit, but, the tough challenge there, there's obviously a higher cost associated with offering fruit and different things there, but we don't have any type of guidance or oversight to that. It's kind of nothing, especially if you're going to be spending your dinner at an activity and your choices are brats and hot dogs and walking taco, which I can't hardly touch anymore. So.
Well, and then if you're vegan or vegetarian or you don't eat pork, are very, very, very limited. So I eat a lot of nachos myself at those events.
Or you eat before you come. I mean, that's always an option.
Do we know, are there other districts in Iowa, who's at the top of the list in terms of having the best wellness programs? Do we have any idea?
I would not know that.
Is there an index?
Okay. Sue says Cedar Rapids has a strong program.
Okay, so we might want to, not
Check that out.
start by looking at some other programs, benchmark it a little bit, so we get a faster start on this.
And while we're looking at those benchmarks and rankings, we need to all keep it very real and understand that being healthy is not cost effective for some of our low income families. So when we look at our sports programs, at our nutrition and wellness programs, are we really pricing some students out of those options? So I think that's something we need to take into consideration. And when we're looking at the statewide requirements on growth and development, physical education, you really need to, if as a parent you're really concerned about nutrition and health and wellness for your students, look at it at the Iowa Department of Education. Look at your legislators in Des Moines and see how they're voting on certain issues. Look at what programming is being cut. Our nutritional programs are being cut. Our after-school programs are being cut. Those students who can afford to participate in certain sports pay for those during the day, but the after-school ones are really helping our lower-income students, and those are the programs that are being cut. So as a district, as a state, as a country, we really need to look at legislatively how we're hurting our students nutritionally and with physical wellness.
I don't think we've actually lost anything in the school-sponsored sports. I don't think there's an access issue on any of those, though. I mean, there's no fee involved, and I think every program is set up to provide kids with whatever equipment they need if they don't have it. So I think the gap there probably comes when you get to programs that are not offered by the school district itself, and it's private organizations, and that's where some of the gaps probably come in.
So I just don't like to rank other school districts when I don't know what type of property tax thing differentials they have. So, I mean, it's good to know, maybe for best practices, but I just don't like to be ranked or compared to certain school districts.
No, I was
No, I
more along the lines of best practices.
Yes.
What's ever out there, and those that apply to us.
I agree.
Adopt those. Those that don't, why don't?
And I have just a couple questions as far as like the number 4 recommendation, an active wellness leadership committee. Can that be written in or added to a job description of our PE teacher, or to be in charge of I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, or a health person to, say this is, you're in charge of the wellness committee in your building or something.
That is possible. What I would recommend is, however, that PE person may not be the person who would champion the effort in that building. There may be another teacher who just really believes in this, in wellness, and is willing to put clubs together for kids and to help monitor what's going on. We could write it into a job description, and that's a possibility. I would like to see, the encouragement of those stepping up who truly, truly believe in what they're doing. We have many people already in our schools doing that, as evidenced by the number of activities. And it was extremely overwhelming to me at first when I started asking simple question, what is going on in our schools? And I started really to listen to all of those wonderful partnerships, the people that, are sitting here, and what they are doing in our schools. I don't think we had a clue as to actually, when you start trying to pull all that together, it was this great big ball. And then we asked the schools, what are you doing, in your schools, and self-reporting that out in a very quick manner. It's there is a lot going on to support our students being physically, nutritionally, and we're walking down the path now for mental health as well.
If there's a
There's a
person
lot going on.
that's charged with the school-wide, they can, if they don't want to be the champion, then they find a champion.
Because I think you have to have a point person, because you may have people in the building that are excited about it, but they don't want to coordinate it, or they want to help. So if you task someone that they are in charge, I think that then you're going to get a better result. Even if they're not the person that's going to do all the work, they will find it because they're going to be accountable for it. Because if you don't have someone accountable for it, I just think you're going to not get as good a results. I just think, because a lot of people are a champion of it, but they don't want to be in charge of it.
And the principal certainly would have the ability to organize that. And if we do a structure such as this, where they're accountable for contributing to some electronic document what they're doing when they're doing it, we can take that and compare and see what's going on and how successful it is. I think that would help as well.
And then I
appreciate that.
also wondered if district-wide, if we've even attempted to think about potentially stand-up desks for some of our administration staff. In classrooms, I've seen some schools in more progressive, I guess, communities sitting on the balls, smaller.
We have some of that in our schools.
And then
And
just
stand-up desks.
yeah, where are the
And-
stand-up desks at?
West has got some.
West,
Okay.
Andy Meehee is at a stand-up desk.
Okay, one.
We actually have, well, it's not just
no,
one,
they-
but, and there actually was, through the Waterloo Schools Foundation, where they funded some stand-up desks as a trial to do that. And that was funded, I believe, was that this year or the past year? Might have been 2 years ago, so it's, And there actually are quite a few classrooms that have the balls in them. You see quite a few of those.
So do we have a comprehensive nutrition program that's incorporated in various courses at various years? In other words, can we identify this in first grade? This is where they get nutrition. Second grade, third grade?
It is not that organized, but we certainly have curriculum that is being addressed nutritionally, either by those who are our partners who come in and help with that, but it's also in some of our courses, like within our sciences, there's nutrition that's approached at the middle school level. I don't know with the new curriculum how that might be delivered. There are several different courses that are high school level in regards to, in the family consumer science course, the culinary, but also in some of our child development and some of those, they approach nutrition as well. But as to, is there a document that says first grade we do this, second this, third this? No, there is not. I can tell you that.
It seems like rather than hit and miss, and some of the courses you mentioned, I believe, are electives, that perhaps we ought to take a hard look at.
Well, and I think that's what we could recommend in terms of looking at all of this. For the committee to really do its job, it needs to get into each one of those 5 areas that are in that policy and really fully develop those and work with what that means in our schools in a comprehensive manner.
It just seems, nutrition education is fundamental to the whole
It is.
process.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Lee, and I think the distributive leadership model for the wellness is really good and is currently working. Of course, we can build upon it with your points, but I think that's a good place to start.
Well, I appreciate that, and I really want to fully thank from the bottom of my heart all of those who are in partnership with our schools, who are with these organizations and far more. Organizations who are not sitting here tonight, and the things that they do for our schools in this area is amazing. Totally amazing. And so we need to thank them as well and uplift them and encourage them to continue that partnership in a very organized manner in our school system. So I'll be moving your recommendations over to Dr. McNulty, and I'm sure that somebody, if not him, will be picking that up next year and moving that forward.
There's some really great initiatives happening in a group of schools. We'll have a group that are doing this and another group that are doing other, gardens. We've got the fresh fruits. If we could try and get a little of that in all of our, especially the elementary schools, is going to help students get that wider range of knowledge on where food comes from. What's this kiwi? What have you ever tried that?
Have you tasted it?
Have you ever tasted it? Those kinds of things really pique the kids' interest, gets them engaged, and I again appreciate those groups that are coming into our schools and offering that information, and schools that are taking the leadership role and building that garden. There's a lot of voluntary work that goes on there too.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Appreciate it. And duly noted that we'll work on getting mental health on the agenda coming up, whether it's in June or July or sometime here soon. So, all right, the next item on our agenda then is a district strategic plan update. It's item H. And we've been working through our strategic plan, the PACE letters. We've done people and we've done achievement, and tonight we're going to do community. I know that Tara Thomas is here, our Director of School and Community Relations, and I think Crystal Buzz is here tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to you all and have at it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So it's exciting to be at the C because the bulk of the department that I work with, School and Community Relations, in terms of the goals of the strategic plan, encompass the work of school and community relations. So when I had originally talked with the district leadership team about presenting, I had a stack about this high of samples of all the things we had been working on. And instead of trying to reproduce all of it for all of you, Darren Hanna had a good idea, and he said, why don't you display it in the boardroom? So we've gone back to this middle school science fair approach here. And I have to give kudos to Linda Armstrong, who's a very good visual artist in our department. And so she did a great layout, and I loved this. When you have an opportunity, if you can come by or if you saw it before the meeting, she did a little choose positive shirt, a little cutout of a shirt. So it's fun because it really does capture so much of the work that brings to life the goals that are on this page. And I think that is where we are fortunate in school and community relations, that so much of our work is tangible, because you can hold it in your hand, you can read it on your phone, or you can see it when something visually is shared. So the biggest challenge for our department in presenting to you tonight is to keep it exciting and tight and bright. But when you look at the scope and how all-encompassing and comprehensive the department work is in terms of its reach, I cut it down to 6 pages. So this document here is truly an example of item by item all the actions that we are taking as a department. And I will not bore you with reading it line by line. I will try to just hit some high notes. I would ask if you look at your folders that Pam distributed for me. This is an example of a folder that is used as a welcome folder. So sometimes for a new family coming into our district, we have distributed these out to the building. So I thought it was appropriate to share just a few items in here that will support a few of the things I would highlight when we break down some of our action steps. The one thing that I had to share was the bulk of our department by looking at each person in our faces. So if you open up your folder on the top right, it's Meet Our Staff. And the staff of School and Community Relations includes Linda Armstrong. She is a confidential secretary. Karen Fritz, who is a 218-day employee overseeing the mailroom. Kelsey Hammer Parks is our district freelance videographer. Katrina Heeman is a longtime employee and a communication specialist. Sandy Lanigan, another secretary and longtime employee. Myself, and then Katie Wason, you may recall meeting her in the fall. She is a employee working out of Orange Elementary who is considered our district mentor coordinator, and she is a contract employee. We contract with Big Brothers Big Sisters, so she technically is their employee, but then we have a joint relationship to support the work, and then she also supports all of the district volunteers beyond BBBS. So some fun facts are included that I'll get to in a moment, but I wanted you to look now back to this community breakdown of the goals that fall under C. And the first one being C8, communicate with staff and parents important and necessary info in a timely and accurate manner. This is really a fun and sometimes precarious endeavor because all of the information we share isn't necessarily positive, and it's always timely, especially when there is a safety or emergency component to it. So this first line of inform stakeholders on multiple platforms to share information is one I think we do well. I would say our department is a well-oiled machine when it comes to our practice and protocol for how we notify both internal and external stakeholders. If you look at some of the numbers, the data truly reflects the work. 188 robocalls, emails, and texts during this school year through the middle of May. We've done 34 news releases specific just to schedule changes and reminders, and we're fortunate that our local newspapers and website outreach, be it radio and television websites, will reprint all of our news releases on a daily basis. We also always use social media so we can reach folks who maybe didn't see the scroll on KWWL or who missed that call because they changed their cell number. They can check in on Facebook and Twitter to see where we're at in terms of some of our delays, cancellations, or schedule changes. We also field emergency calls from the field. Everyone in our department knows that, especially myself outside of work, 24/7, I have my phone because if an emergency happens, I need to know about it, and then I can share it with district leadership via a quick email from my phone. So anytime an ambulance is called to any building, I'm notified by a staff person, usually an administrator or an office staff person, because that way we're aware of the situation. And if a parent sees that ambulance go in front of their child's school, we want to make sure we know about it so we can calm fears. We can let them know, hey, it was a faulty sprinkler head that set off the alarm. There's no safety issue. And this is a key component in modern communication because we are a quick infotainment-oriented environment in terms of how we expect to receive the instantaneous messaging. So we have to always be really instant in our response as well, so we can keep something that's a minor ambulance call that fortunately, most of the time does not involve students, to escalating to folks misunderstanding it when rumors are spread on social media. So we're always trying to get the facts out there first and as accurately as possible. The last piece that I thought is fun is when you look at the parent data, 70% are asking for text message as their number one form of notification. We're always looking at the data because we're fluid with communication. It's an ever-changing process. If you break down the schools, you'll find it interesting. The high school parents still want an email. You look at Elk Run, 86% text messages. The folks coming in with the younger children who are of a younger generation, they're changing in terms of what they want as far as their communication of choice. So we're trying to look at our averages district-wide and then adhere to those preferences, because we're fortunate we can do it on multiple platforms. So we can do the email, we can do the call, and we can still text at least enough characters to get the message out there, but then we supplement and support that text with an email. So that's why many of you will be out at a sporting event and everyone's phones will start going off at the same time. We laugh at softball about that, because that's one example of how we're just trying to make sure we've covered all our bases. And so sometimes you do get inundated with calls, emails, and texts from Waterloo Schools.
So what percent of the parents have access to text messages?
That's a great question. When Matt O'Brien looked at the data the last time, I want to say it was over 90%, but I can check with him to get an update on that statistic, because I would argue that in the last year it's increased. And when we do that, that question is on the parent climate data. So it would be more telling to get that stat, because not every parent takes the climate, survey to know. So I can check with Matt. The other piece, and thank you, Lau. Interrupt me at any time, because I don't get a lot of breath in, so you can just cut me off if you have a question. The other piece is the CTE communication. We've now really kind of turned our direction in terms of how we promote it to WCC, being the new acronym for Waterloo Career Center. And it's just been so fun to tell this story, because as Dr. Lindeman can attest, it's always well received when the message is we're giving kids more options and we're really in line with, the state and national level to offer alternative programming in terms of the career training at the high school level. And it's just so fun and exciting to share this with so many different platforms. In addition to our traditional outreach through the videos, the commercials, the news releases, we had the unique opportunity this school year to promote the 8th grade parent meetings. I thought it was a great stat. I work so closely with all these folks that we advertise with, and I always say to them, I have to justify every dollar spent in terms of the analytics. And because of the way social media has changed the game with advertising, analytics and data are where it's at. So at any moment, we can track and check in on who's seen the post, how many people it reached, what's the level of engagement. So the traditional radio, TV, and print folks have had to follow suit with that, because that is how you get the advertisers to come back, is if you can deliver an audience. And we're always looking at the most bang for our buck in terms of our advertising dollars. So it was a great opportunity to hear that from our multi-platform advertising for the 8th grade parent meetings, in addition to a print ad promoting it, we also had digital advertising, and 80,100 readers were reached via that one career ad. So that's a neat statistic to share. I emailed some of the links to some videos that we're not going to show tonight. And if you get a chance, I referenced the videos that support each section of the document. So you can check out, there was a fall and a spring CTE video that were a lot of fun to produce that I know, I think you've seen and Dr. Lindeman has shared with a lot of folks. The last thing I'll mention, if you look on the left, before we turn the page here, if you look in the left pocket of your folder, the middle sheet looks like this, and it might look like, why would I care about this? This is a cool example of analytics and how they've changed the game. We always try to be creative in terms of how we're reaching an audience, and one of the number one ways that professionals are connecting these days is with the platform LinkedIn. So over the last few months, I set up a LinkedIn account as the Director of School and Community Relations as a representative of Waterloo Schools. So I have 945 professionals I connect with on there as of today. This was an analytic breakdown from a post that I shared. If you look at the top, further expansion plan for Waterloo Career Center. It's so fun because every time that we have an opportunity to showcase our district and then the news picks up the positive stories, I've been going on LinkedIn and I've been sharing these links. So if you look at that one post, it had 629 views. And then if you look on the right side, I thought it was interesting that 21 people from Chicago saw it, 50 people from Des Moines, 12 people in Minneapolis, Phoenix, Utah. So isn't it neat that our district message and our Waterloo Career Center is truly getting national attention by way of free outreach that literally takes 10 seconds to share a link. If you look at this second page here of this, now going back to this white document, this just really breaks down how much our English language learners have changed the game for us in school and community relations. It's always challenging, but a challenge that we embrace to reach the varying sectors of our population in terms of the language differences. You know from the past that we've been printing kindergarten welcome booklets in multiple languages. We are continuing to expand that to now include Marshallese, Burmese, and French in the coming years. We also really try to do every possible backpack flyer in the Spanish and Bosnian translations, and we get a lot of support from all the district volunteers to extend that to other languages as requested. Anytime that we do things like the parent climate surveys, we always print translated versions and we send those out to the offices so they have them on hand in the offices when a family might come in and say, well, I couldn't understand, fully how to answer or take part in the survey. Then we offer the translated versions, or we can get that to them. It's been fun that I've had a lot of the Urban Education Network folks inquire about how we're serving our ELL families, because according to the statistics I've looked at, we're the second most diverse district in the state after Des Moines. When I share that we have 75 dialects, and we've talked, Amy White always keeps me updated when we add new languages to the plate, and I think at last count we were up to 35, and whenever I share that with my counterparts across the state, they're always amazed at how much diversity we have in terms of culture and language. And when I then explain that we're really working closely with our translators, that's something they're trying to model, because we are among those doing the best practice for ELL engagement in the state, and we're really proud of it. We've had a lot of folks approach us to switch from Blackboard Connect, because Blackboard Connect is not a common messaging service that a lot of the school districts are using anymore in Iowa. But when Katrina Heeman, Matt O'Brien, and I met with Blackboard Connect and said, what are you doing and what can you deliver that the others cannot? I mean, the number one thing for me was they can deliver translations in a faster, real-time manner, and they trump all the other services in terms of being able to keep that translated message in a one-entry format. And so I said, we just can't move forward with that in good faith, because it would have to be multiple messages then created to honor these other languages, and it would mean minutes would be lost to get that same message to parents that your children are fine. And we weren't really willing to take that risk, to add minutes or a delay in terms of getting that message to all of our families. And so I just wanted to share that, because that's just how mindful we're trying to be in all these decisions we make. We're always trying to look really closely at what's best for all students, not just, certain segments of our population. C9 is the most fun section. It's improving image and confidence in Waterloo schools. And, this is such a fun thing to do. And I know I'm overusing the word fun, but it is. I mean, our department has a lot of fun. We had 164 positive news releases to the media. We could do a lot more, but the fact is, if you inundate the emails of reporters, they tend to start deleting you. We want to stay relevant, so we don't oversell. We sell intentionally, and we sell with the mindful of some things are better with a personal pitch. So, we have this great example of the seniors at Expo are going to do this walk at Highland, where the kids are going to walk through Highland and pass out lifesavers and tell these elementary kids getting your diploma can be a lifesaver. So when I get a pitch like that from a building, I don't just send a news release out. I individually email contacts and I say, hey, this is a great visual story. You're going to want to find room in your day book, schedule a reporter to do this. So that's how you can really work more closely to our end, and our gain is however and whatever it takes to get the positive message out. We're going to try to work the system and use the strategies that we know are going to be most effective. So 104 positive videos have been produced in-house. We've done 19 Waterloo Schools student news episodes this school year alone, 11 high school, 8 middle school. That has been such a fun success. This year we had a student luncheon for all the student news anchors and crew, and Shanley's son was one of our student news anchors, and it's been so fun to see. Jacqueline Madison is currently a director at KWWL. he was one of our first student news anchors who said, hey, I want to work in TV. So he was able to parlay his experience with Waterloo School Student News into a job. So we hope to see more young people pursuing not just broadcast jobs, but just taking the opportunity to from this communication opportunity to utilize it to land college scholarships and opportunities. I mean, I told these kids, if you have your YouTube links and they see that your production is a professional level news production, because Kelsey is a videographer who could be working in any major television market. When you have that level of editing, and then we have the equipment quality of high def that she has, if you share those links with, you know, any college anywhere, I would say that it would hold up to any major city in terms of what they could deliver for students as far as the look and feel of a real newscast. And then we're fortunate that we have the MediaCom education channel that we now control in-house and populate 24/7. So it's not us telling the stories, it's the students telling the stories, which is really fun. And I'm just so excited that we have these young middle school students who are wanting to continue in their news anchor endeavors by way of student news. We also do something really fun that we just started this year where, you know, a lot of kids, especially families that are young, that are using smartphones to get their news, they don't take the paper like the older people like me. So I literally cut out every single picture of every Waterloo Schools student that appears in the Courier, and then we send them this card, thanks for making Waterloo Schools proud. And I've had so many parents come up and say, I didn't even know my kid was in the paper. So that means a lot to me, because I just know as a parent, you want those clippings and you want to have that to put in the scrapbook. And so because everything now is digital, it's nice that we can still share something traditional that would make people smile, like their child being represented, you know, representing our district in the paper for positive news. Okay, we'll flip over and I'll try to cut these down, I promise.
Tara?
Oh, yeah.
Before you go on, you talked about the Courier. How much of the Courier's information gets digital? I mean, those that don't get it online, or that do get it online and not in the paper format, are they getting half of what they would normally get digitally?
That's a great question. I know most of the stories, for example, Andrew being the education beat reporter, most of his stories do get posted online, but there's sometimes a lag. So sometimes it might be delayed. But as far as some of the Metro briefs that they do, a lot of that stuff, you would miss it if you only saw it online. And so what we try to do is, if they share the information on their website and people have used up their number of articles they can get for free and they don't want to pay, then we will also try to share some of that content. But at the same time, you know, we respect that it's a business, and so we want them to be able to profit off of their content. So it's a balance. And for us right now, we're so fortunate that we still have a daily, because we get a lot of press and all of our public service announcements still make the paper, and that is not the case for a lot of markets in the country, especially not places where they don't have it daily. So we're fortunate right now. So I hope the Courier continues its education coverage. So, okay, as far as this next page, I could talk a lot about this, and I have to give a shout out to some folks in the audience here. I have been so fortunate through the work of this department that we have been able to just grow so much of our outreach by way of just folks in the community who've said, I care about Waterloo Schools, I care about the branding, the imaging of the district. And I've been approached by and made a lot of connections in the community just because of folks like Cherie Kaba, who many of you will remember has come before the board before. She's, you know, Waterloo, but went out west and started a STEM club and had some great engagement out there with young people. And then she said, I want to come back to the Cedar Valley. And when she came back and has started now this STEM club with so many of our young people, and also now growing her outreach through her new magazine that she's publishing both digitally and print magazine, The Soul Town. And then she's also been working with Michael Muhammad at KBOL. So I had come to accept that we had done, you know, our radio outreach almost primarily outside of the commercial stations with KBBG, because that was a contract that I inherited. So I've enjoyed and love that twice a month we do a live show on KBBG. It then re-airs, so it's about 4 half hours a month that we're getting that exposure on KBBG. But when I connected with Cherie, she said, hey, you should do some stuff with KBOL. So Michael Muhammad has been so gracious to let me host a show on KBOL, which I love hosting that half-hour show. And in fact, when Sue was talking about the Cedar Valley Readers and getting that word out tomorrow, Heather Skeen, who was hired by Operation Threshold as their new PR person, who's working jointly with me to promote all of our events this summer. She's coming on with Lakeisha Beasley tomorrow on KBOL, so we're going to do a half-hour live where we talk exclusively about the Cedar Valley Read Initiative and everything that it entails, and then we'll drive people to that website that is a clearinghouse, a one-stop shop of all the events happening this summer. We'll continue to link to it off of our website, but more so off of social media. We get a lot more play off of our social media links than we ever would our website, because people don't go to a website if they don't know what they're looking for. So Facebook is where we drive most of our links to our families, and that's what we'll do and continue to do until the research shows us that they've moved on to another platform. Right now, we still get our most engagement probably with Facebook. So we're doing everything from a monthly ad in the Soul Town to these radio shows, and then I do these monthly commercials. Sometimes we have guest broadcasters that come in. We had a Leader in Me one, for example. So these are on The Mix, The Fan, and 105.7. Those three stations collectively have some of the highest listenership in this area, but also radio is just cheap compared to other mediums. You can get a lot more people with a lot less money and a lot broader reach in terms of the audience. And so that's where radio really does have an upper hand over other advertising. The other thing that we just always do is whenever people ask us to come and speak and talk about Waterloo Schools, I rarely say no. So sometimes I, have opportunities I didn't expect. Like recently I was emceeing the Big Brothers Big Sisters bowling event where I was giving away prizes at the bowling alley. And those are sometimes fun opportunities just because, you end up showing up and then you get to talk about the district, and then people are excited to hear about the district. And then by default, I have that audience and that platform to share it. Twitter, we just totally embrace. The kids are on Twitter, if not on Snapchat and Instagram, but Twitter is where we really do interact and share a lot of the young people and their successes, everything from state track to prom pictures. I mean, it's really fun to engage with them, and we always track everything that's happening with Google alerts and all of those media mentions that I inundate your inboxes with when I try to share all the links as we discover them along the way. The staff engagement is similarly really fun. This week we're going to be giving out these Employees of the Year awards. The Global Thinking Awards are a lot of fun. We're really trying to include every employee group in this by giving bus drivers the Global Thinking Awards as well. And right now Katrina and Kelsey have been working on videos to feature every employee group, from paras to food service employees, just to make sure that everybody's included and that it's not just about the educators or the administrators. And we also, if you turn the page, we do the weekly Globe newsletter, which goes to all staff, and that's been a great way to outreach and share a lot of the stuff going on. We also do everything from the annual retirement reception to producing the opening day. And then we do things like, coordinating the building climate surveys. We also like to make sure that we highlight everything from a new administrative hire to somebody's loved one passing away. If they request it, we can share that information as well. So there's a broad range and powerful reach when you can connect with the staff. We also really are proud of all of our ISPRA and INSPRA awards, and this year, most recently, we haven't heard yet about the national awards, but for the Iowa School Public Relations Association, or ISPRA awards, our social media etiquette video received an excellence rating, and our project outreach video received a blue and gold rating, which means that it was the highest rating that you can receive in the state. It was the best produced video in the state of Iowa for the school year, and that was the one where we featured that partnership between those students at Allen College who had been in our district, who now work at Allen College. And if you guys recall, they came in and did that great board presentation, so you'll enjoy that link of that video that I shared about Project Search. So those are the three videos that showcase that sort of section of the goals. The social media etiquette, which we worked with Dr. Smith, and we really said social media is something that can be used inappropriately. So we made a video to spell out specifically with guidance from the National Education Association how staff and educators should engage where social media is concerned and what the law says and what the legal developments from social media challenges have led to. And it's been an eye-opener for a lot of staff because a lot of what we shared made them, I think, it makes folks, especially the young teachers, think about their digital footprint, because your digital footprint defines how parents sometimes judge you as an educator. And that may be the only evidence that a teacher has to showcase what he or she is doing, beyond the classroom. So we're just trying to support digital footprints that do not lead to issues with staff that used to be private because we weren't sharing everything online. So it's been a great tool, and we've had the other UEN and other larger districts across the state have shared our social media video or tried to make one similar. C10, we are really doing and trying to do a lot more with alumni and the outreach, because we know that everyone who graduates from Waterloo schools is still interested and cares about what's going on in the district. So we're trying to engage them, and thanks to the internet, we can do that no matter where they are in the world. I sit on the Waterloo Schools Foundation Alumni Committee, and then we really just try to always keep the Waterloo Schools Foundation in the loop. So every time that Lance Dunn, for example, who was hired by the city of Waterloo, or some Waterloo Schools alum is recognized for a job or some kind of kudos in the media, then I share that link directly with Emily Hansen at the foundation, so she's aware of what the alumni are doing and how she can continue to engage with them through the Waterloo Schools Foundation. We also promote alumni events like Central's Charger Association. I've done conference calls with those folks and just worked with them about, well, how can you help us promote, our summer event? We'd like to get more people to attend. And then Linda Armstrong does a great job of coordinating all the reunion tours when folks call and share that information on our website. And there's a video that really showcases our partnership with the foundation that I sent you guys as well. The volunteer inclusion, as you know, last fall we had some of our representatives from the different agencies come in. It's just been so far-reaching. I mean, we now have a monthly roundtable where we meet with Junior Achievement, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Job Foundation, and Retired Senior Volunteer Program, and just getting everybody around the table to say, your voice matters, we care, we want to be transparent, and we want to be good stewards of all that you guys are doing by bringing all these volunteers in to support our students. And so it's been a lot of fun. And just open communication line. And then we recognize every year all the mentors and volunteers in an annual celebrations ad, and that means a lot to those volunteers. I had a couple of them come in and say, hey, do you have a copy of that? And I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And I didn't know who I was going to give it to because I had about 570 choices of who I could mail that ad to. So I gave it to the first person who asked me. C11, this is a big one because we have to engage parents. And we know that, like Lyle was asking, maybe not everyone will have a current cell phone on file, nor will they always check the backpack home when they're, overwhelmed with life getting in the way. So we're just always trying to look at ways that we can be better at making sure that the message reaches the intended audience. So if you look at the last page of this long document, these are just some of the ways that we're really trying to make sure that we reach every corner of our audience and all of our stakeholders. Our district website is 5 years old. We're going to launch a new one this fall. I think the feather in our cap right now is we're doing it in-house. We're the only UEN district who isn't hiring out to produce the website. With Matt O'Brien's department and our department collectively, we're going to be able to keep everything on the same platform, which is going to make transferring over all of the information smoother. Also, we have 2,000 plus pages on our website, and that's the old school website acting as a filing cabinet approach. The new trend in websites and what people want is user friendly, so you got to get it down 500 pages or fewer. So we're in the process of paring it down and also not taking away pertinent information. So we look at a heat map and we can actually see which pages are still being utilized. And from that heat map, that helps guide us in terms of how we pare down or edit some of the content. If the page hasn't been looked at in 5 years, odds are nobody's Googling it or going to search for it. So it's a process, and it's really it's enjoyable work when you have so many people excited about the work. And the school and community relations team and the different departments across the district that we work with are often very excited about the work because you know that the outcome is going to be that people receive the information, you hope that information is communicated accurately, and then we can always look to tweak it and improve the process because it is a fluid process. I'm always open for changing up, revamping, redoing and rethinking everything that we're doing. And so we have a lot of fun because creativity reigns. And when people have ideas, they're encouraged and we try to run with them. One day someone said to me, oh, or I saw somebody live streaming something from another district in the state. And then someone said, yeah, you probably could do that. And then I had to say, well, some buildings I get a better signal than others. But when I have been able to, live streaming has been so much fun because for those of you who know TV, it's like you have your own stinger basically because you're doing your own live shot with your phone. So we have carried live everything from pep rallies to music concerts to college signings. And that has been so much fun. I remember when Byron Phillips' son, Tyus, was signing to play football and his mom had to work. She couldn't get it off. And so she said, Tara, thank you so much for live streaming Tyus' signing because it brings everybody in their home right into the action. And it's not like a recorded version. It's literally live, but then it's permanently on our Facebook page to be viewed later. So I think the East football signings in the first 48 hours had 15,000 views, and that's free. So it's a great way, and it's the future of engaging the audience. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun, and I embrace the new opportunities and new technology as it comes, and bonus when it's free. So the last thing I'll share, we did this Points of Pride mailer on the left side. This is an example of how we've really sought support from families. When we presented at SIAC recently, this document broke down some of the fun ways that we would encourage parents to engage. The first step, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'd love to share your content. Pam Arndorfer tipped me off that West High parent Denise Osgood had a lot of videos from the state track meet, which we're able to then share on our social media platform. So we're all in this together. I get Jesse Knight texting me photos from events, and other board members have shared content, and I encourage anybody to share the content, and then we're always happy to share it to our broader audience. This last page is a breakdown of the Soul Town. That's Cherie's magazine, and you can see from this graphic how she's grown her viewership and her readership in the last 3 months since she launched it. I'm very mindful of the audience niche and reaching people from unique avenues and unique voices. So for me, it's always my mission to, if a Cherie knocks on my door, or anybody knocks on our door or connects with us and says, hey, have you thought about this, or what about this? I'm going to always be open to that because we're only as good as, that last audience member we reach. And what I mean by that is when you have so many folks who might say that they didn't hear about something or they missed that opportunity, then that's on us because then we have to keep being creative about how we reach people. And our district is awesome in that we are given such a long creative leash to be able to pursue these opportunities. And then you get all these unexpected surprises, like the number of people that have come up to me and said, oh, I heard such and such or so-and-so on KBOL, or I heard that, I saw your ad for kindergarten registration in the Soul Town. And that is what matters to me, is that we have that audience delivery, because it doesn't matter how great and wonderful all these things are if you're only telling to yourself and you're not, standing on the mountaintop and spreading it out, then we've missed the point. And so it's wonderful when that audience when the message has reached its intended audience. So we're going to continue to aggressively pursue that. And then my final thought was just to say on the right sheet here with our smiling faces, these fun facts. Again, I tried to cut it down, but I love looking at the data as a way to reinforce the work. A lot of things with communication nowadays is more data driven than it's ever been. And if you look at some of our reach, it's incredible that one 30-second commercial weekly reaches 100,228 listeners on these commercial stations. If you look at the Points of Pride mailer, almost 35,000 people receive that mailer. And then if you look down, some of our, nitty gritty in the department is 25% drop in the last year in open enrollment applications. The previous year there was a 50% drop. We work closely with families and administrators and staff to encourage and work through problems and to find solutions to keep people in the district and to make sure that open enrollment is not an option, because we want the folks to stay here and be a thriving part of Waterloo Schools. And just the last thing on here that is unique too is the policies that some of you work through. 88 policies were updated this year. So this is also a constant process that we're always mindful of the practice, the protocol, and trying to keep the policies current with what the district staff and the administration is executing at the discretion of the board. We really take the policy review committee and that work very seriously. And Sandy Lane, again, is an expert in dotting the I's and crossing the T's on the policies. And we get a lot of support from folks like Pam Arndorfer to make that happen. Karen Fritz, I'll just do the last shout out to her. When she's in that mailroom, if you look at these numbers, I have to find my mention here of how many mail pieces went through the mailroom. Yeah, 176,505 mail pieces have gone through the ESC mailroom from July 1st of last year to May 17th of this year, and that includes regular and bulk mail. So whenever there's some change in schedule or there's an issue with the mail machine, Karen's on it, and that's just one example of the nitty-gritty of school and community relations that a lot of people would not know we're involved with. So I'll end it with Karen, because she's small and mighty force in school and community relations. And I just thank you guys for letting me overspeak here, but I have so much going on, and then we as a department are just so proud of our work that I just wanted to get pretty detailed about it, and I would love to entertain any and all questions if you have any. And thanks also to our longtime state legislator, Deb Berry, for stopping by, and tell us your name. We have a former Waterloo resident who's back. Deborah Carr, also somebody who's interested in marketing communication. So I just welcome these three ladies because it's a cliche, but it truly takes a village. And with Waterloo Schools, with our communications department, we are a village of so many people that may not be on staff, but are working diligently out in the community to support the work. So just thanks to everybody who shares those posts and retweets the tweets. We really appreciate it.
And there is one more piece before. There is one more goal on C10. So you go ahead and ask your question, but we want to make sure, Crystal, if you look at the section that talks about
introduce Crystal.
Community partnerships has one more
chance.
piece. So
I know. Sorry, Crystal.
I just wanted to say when you look at this thing, then this is one of the things that we do at Viridian too. And you look at the people; they're all women, they're all Caucasian. And so one of the things that I wanted to acknowledge you for is reaching out beyond that, because otherwise everything that we get from communications would be in the voice of that one perspective. And I'm sure men have things that they want to say about Waterloo Schools, and then people of color.
That's what Lyle's for.
And things. So I just say, so I think you address that. Like, these people have done great work, so it doesn't matter what color and what sex they are. But at the same time, it does matter if that's the only voice that we're hearing. And so letting us know and sharing us with information on how you're getting the word out in different markets is important. So,
and I will say, for those who know me well, like Cherie, where I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, when I graduated from high school, my high school was 40% white and it was 60% African American. So I had never seen more white people than when I moved to Iowa. And so for me, I mean, I can't live and breathe unless I have a mindful cultural competency in terms of how I engage. Mm-hmm. And that's why, for me, when I got hired with Waterloo Schools, it felt like a homecoming of sorts, because I was more in tune with a diverse district because of where and how I grew up. And so it's just been fun to be able to execute the communication component of something that comes natural to me from my background.
That's why I just wanted to acknowledge and make sure that is a point in case anybody were to see this.
I also noticed there was only one brunette. We were all white blondes, but fake, because it's fake news.
We all know.
It's fake news, Angie.
It's alternative facts.
Thanks, Tara.
And now I'd like to introduce Crystal Buzza. She will talk about another portion of C, which is the community partnerships.
Woohoo!
So my part is small, but it does encompass a lot of different things. My part is sponsorships, and so C10, that strategy or that sub-goal is to partner with businesses, organizations, and people to secure resources to enhance the real-world experiences, and that's truly what career and technical education is. And so the performance metric for that is looking at our CTE sponsorships, but so much more than just going and talking to business has to happen before that takes place. Obviously, figuring out what our career pathways are, how they look, what that curriculum is. And so just very briefly, some of the activities that roll up into that. Also with Partners in Education, that's still a very important part of supporting our elementaries and our middle schools. So with the Career Center, you know, I've been spending a lot of my time very recently reviewing workforce data, looking at student career interest, because all that plays into how we pick our career pathways, making sure we have the right places, and then making sure those businesses make sense to fit in. We've been doing lots of presentations. Obviously, Tara's department helps us quite a bit with that. Presentations internally, but also externally, student visits. I recently was at a National Career and Technical Education Conference where I presented about what we have been doing for the Waterloo schools. And so that was a really good platform to share not only what we're doing with other people from the state, but across the country as well. And then just generally speaking, in the packet that I left with you guys, we have started to put together what a sponsorship would look like for the Career Center. We know sustainability really, you know, hinges on having those career partners. And this is modeled off of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and what they've done for sponsorship. And ultimately what we'd love to do is have businesses commit to a 3-year. And the thing that's really unique about this is it doesn't just have to be upfront cash or upfront equipment. We are really wanting businesses to say, hey, if I have a student internship, I will take X number of students each year or each semester, and this is what the value is to my business. So it's giving those businesses a voice rather than us just saying, well, please, this is what it's worth to you. You know, it's different for each business because they might not have the staff to help mentor that intern or to work with that teacher, or, you know, if they're going to be a guest speaker or if they're going to do a tour, they might have to stop production. And so for one business, it might be a lot more expensive than it would be for another business to offer that. So we want to give businesses a little bit of choice and say. We've been spending quite a bit of time, I would say, since February, meeting with John Deere. They're our biggest employer in the Cedar Valley, and clearly they would make a great connection with advanced manufacturing. So we've had probably 4 meetings, I think, with John Deere of trying to see where they might fall on the sponsorship. We're still working on meetings, but that's kind of how it is. It's not a real fast, easy game where you get an instant, you know, answer right away. But that's, I'd love to get your feedback. I've also sent that sponsorship agreement to some other businesses in Waterloo to get their input as well. And then the other big piece that we certainly work on that does fall into the Career Center and Career Technical Education, but mostly with our elementaries and middle schools, is our Partners in Education tab. And so I gave each person a tab. This does include some different activities that happen at the Cedar Valley Catholic schools and also Cedar Falls schools. But if you look through it, predominantly the Waterloo schools takes over the entire tab. So I guess if anybody has any questions, I'd love to entertain them. Otherwise, I appreciate your support.
So, just as someone who does corporate giving, is this ready or should I still wait?
Nope, it's certainly ready.
And is it electronic somewhere?
Yes, I will be happy to send it out to you. Absolutely. We don't have it posted on our website. I mean, we certainly could do that. I don't think a lot of businesses would bite online of just seeing something. So it's more one of those face-to-face. So, yeah. So if I need to come and meet with some other people besides you, Angie, let me know. I'd be happy to.
No, but I can tell you that I don't give anything to anything that doesn't give me an ask.
Absolutely.
And I think other corporate sponsor people do the same things.
Yep.
From my, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Any other questions?
I just make a wonderful comment here. I'm sitting here, oh, look at this. I open it up and, you know, actually see my child in it and say, wow, I somehow missed this. So it's very appreciative. Yeah, I somehow missed that. So. Oh, yeah. Scrapbook right here.
Right. Great. Thank you, Crystal. Does anybody have anything further for either Crystal or Tara?
My appreciation to what both of them do. I mean, it's a lot of work, and you know, promoting the great things and just the flexibility, to allow people to get that, because we're all at different places, different times, and we see good stuff, and I appreciate everything they do. So,
and I would just make a couple summary comments here too. When we first started developing our strategic plan, we basically had not much on paper. And so when we framed it up in the PACE, for each section, C would be one example, we looked at the C and said, what is it that we have to accomplish in order to be able to do our job? And so after kind of a brainstorming, prioritization and focus activity, we really did hone in on those 4 areas of communicating effectively and accurately. Improving our image was the second one. The partnerships was the third one. And then the fourth one was parents. And so that's what you're seeing when we talk about C8, C9, C10, and C11. Those are the 4 areas. And so, we have this online document that we look at, which kind of houses all of our information and our actions. So this is a living, breathing document and truly does drive our work. So had we not taken the time to say, what is it that we want to accomplish? We wouldn't, I think we'd be all over the place. And so when we look at something, Tara's saying, well, this is a beautiful fit with C9. This is going to help us accomplish C9 or whatever that is. And so you heard about, the P for people, and Bev talked about P1, P2, P3, and P4. And Charles talked about A5, 6, and 7. And so now we're on to the 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then pretty soon you're going to hear about the E. And those are just those areas. So it was really kind of a nice way for us to package that. And so I am so appreciative of Tara and Crystal coming to tell about the work. But it is what we do to accomplish our mission. So everything that they do, they get to tell the great story. But really, they can't do the work without everybody else too. So it is a team effort, and everybody's just kind of pulling in the same direction. So I appreciate them telling our story, and there is a lot yet to accomplish. We know that. But having it documented, having a plan, and then working that plan, which is something I say quite often, makes it a lot easier, right? Because Tara knows this is my job, and Crystal says this is what I'm here to accomplish. So I am really appreciative of you guys taking the time to put this together to tell us, and we could take days, but I think in a succinct amount of time, in less than an hour, actually, you did a really good feel for. No, that's good. That's fine, because it's important. It's important work, and so I appreciate you doing that.
And I commend the group for continually to explore and utilize the new and evolving technology.
Agreed.
That's a huge task to keep up with that, and not only for the distribution but also the feedback, it sounds like. So I think that's really a great thing.
Yeah. And just a reminder to all the board, if you didn't see it today, Tara did send out not only to tell us to look at these, what'd you call them, the science project, science fair, the display boards, but also the video links to all of those videos that are referenced in here are on your in your email, so you can go check them out. So,
and I just have one thing that I think we do. Also, really, you mentioned it, but under the Points of Pride mailer, but the taxpayers are a huge part of who we are too. And I think that saying that we sent to 35,000 taxpayers is telling them what's good about the district. That's really important, because sometimes taxpayers that don't have kids in the district, that don't look at Facebook, that are maybe my generation or older, they appreciate to see what's going on in the district. So I think that communicating with them is a great job of doing that, because then they can't say they don't know what's going on in the district. Right. So I think that's a real positive too, that you should hang your cap on. And then question, I wondered, like for Facebook, you're saying that's like one of our huge, I see we have 5183 followers, and then I'm thinking we have like 11,000 students. There might be, so we could maybe get more followers, but wondering, do we do anything with languages on Facebook?
There's a translation.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't translate because there's auto-translate for any post. So you can go in and change the setting to be able to auto-translate to your particular dialect. But one point about Facebook is when you look at the followers or the likes, that only tells a small piece of the story, because Facebook is boosted and we pay to play. So for example, if we put a $50 investment in, say, the kindergarten registration ad, thousands, tens of thousands of people who don't like us will still see it come up on their feed. And for many people who don't understand, the Facebook advertising, to them it's organic. But then how sometimes you'll see sponsored underneath a post. So if it's something that we know is really important in terms of the education element, like kindergarten registration, we'll put just minimal advertising dollars in, and just a small investment will reach tens of thousands of people. So you get a good return on your investment. The other thing, Dr. Lindeman and I do track the likes, because we've talked about Facebook has really made it easier for us to boost our numbers. Every time someone likes our page, I click on it, and then it gives me the option to invite them if they don't already like the page. So it's really almost a 24/7 operation where we check all the likes and then we invite those people. So just this week we're up 32 likes because I went into one of the posts for our employees who's been here 30 or more years, like Alvin Wright, he got 12,000 views. So then I look at all the likes, and then off those likes I can invite all the people that normally, like you said, might not be interested, but maybe they're a former student or a teacher that worked with him who's now retired, and then I'll invite them to like our page. And then a lot of them are nice to go back and invite when they get to like it when they get the invite. So it's been fun that Facebook is trying to make it easier for people to like your page, and we're utilizing those tools because new ones are always coming available. So
additionally, so if I like a Waterloo Schools post, then people that I am friends with are more likely to see that, and they might not even be.
Exactly.
Yep. So it's multiplied that way too.
And it's confusing because if you like a page, the only way that you'll continue to have the content populate your feed is if you also follow. Well, when you like a page, you automatically follow it, and not very many people either go in after the fact or have figured out how to unfollow. So generally, most of our people who like us also follow us, which is a great thing that happens by default. Some people maybe have unfollowed us, but we hope they come back.
And when we share things, so just for the community to know, and then for us too, when we share things, are you able to see how many shares you get and then find likes on there as well?
Yes. So we always track all the analytics. So, for example, one thing I think in the fun facts that it talks about is if you look, you can look at like the last 28 posts on Facebook, and you'll see how much engagement we got. Engagement means somebody who clicked on it, liked it, or shared it. And we're getting thousands and thousands of engagement opportunities. And so it's been fun that a lot of groups, everybody from the city of Waterloo and Blue Zones to folks promoting, nonprofit camps for kids, they all now come to us because we've been so intentional about sharing community information. So we tell people, hey, give us the info and we'll be happy to share it. And then we're going to get a lot more people and eyeballs for them from sharing it off of our page. So it's been a fun way to promote community stuff.
And Tara, this isn't just stuff that you sit and think about in your office. There's a science to this. That was just something that was amazing to me. And Tara, with her background, really brings that knowledge. But every single thing on here, down to the color choice, down to the font, down to the actually trifold layout, the block format, the way that the words are in there, the highlights, the text features, every single thing was a science. And so I really didn't realize that. I thought you just kind of, originally I thought you just do something that looks good, but it really is about readership. So I've learned a lot through Tara and her department.
And I've learned so much from so many folks here, and there's a complete shift in my thinking before I was seeking the information, and now we're trying to control how we package some of the information. So it's a fun, creative shift. And to Lyle's point, the technology is changing so rapidly that, for example, 5 years ago when Waterloo Schools launched its new website, back then you went to a website as a website of record. Okay, so all the things that years ago we would go and look for there. Now, today, what we know from data and research is that you're lucky if you'll get somebody to hang for 30 seconds. So if they can't find what they're looking for in 30 seconds, they're out. So that is how we've changed the way that we're doing our layout, is with that in mind, contrasted with 5 years ago when people were going to spend a lot more time because they didn't have 10,000 other websites on their smartphone with 25 apps at their fingertips.
And just, this might be more Crystal, but do we try to maximize how our business partners want us communicating with them, and what's the best mode to promote to them, and what we do and they do and that type of thing?
I would say it's kind of a combination. Really, on the sponsorship end, businesses like to be promoted and, shown that they're being supportive. So that's where Tara's department is great about helping us with making sure we recognize those businesses in that way. But oftentimes for businesses, the number one reason why they would get involved, and this comes back to volunteership, is it helps keep their employee base longer, because the more their employees beyond just one or two people are involved in activities outside of their business, but yet they're representing their business, they're going to stay longer. And so that's really kind of where the benefit comes mostly from businesses. And so they do still like that personal touch of calling and seeing them and inviting them to things. Emails, phone calls, personal letters. I do a lot of handwritten letters sometimes to businesses when they come in, or if I get a tour. So.
Okay, anything else on C? I'm sure these guys would stay for another hour. Tara, we might have to get you something to drink at that point. Like a glass of water, that's what I meant. I did not. That didn't sound right.
No. I was wondering where that was
Glass of water. All right. Thank you very much for that district strategic plan update. That'll take us then to Exhibit I, which is the financial information. Again, this evening, this is for information only, and I'm going to turn it over to Michael Coughlin.
Hard act to follow when
Hi.
when all of this analysis comes out in the other areas, because it really is. It's interesting when you look at the mission statement and the strategic plan, and way at the end is aligned finances with everything else. And you think, well, following everything up is the money. And it really is the picture, because you just had evidence in the last three presentations of the people, the achievement, the communications. That is the real mission of the district. Not how much money we have in the bank. We have to do that. But we're just enabling all of these other things to happen by managing the money wisely. So it's a real testament to what goes on around here and the people that are working to make it success. So it's fun for me to hear all of this too, as I get lost in my little world as well. We're through the month of April, and we're coming to the end of the fiscal year. And I just last time I said I just wanted to kind of point out some highlights, not to just kind of review the reports again. So I want to take you to page 39. The first reports talk about the cash balances, and we'll talk about that a little at the end. But on page 39, it starts the revenues for all the different funds. And when you're looking at April, you should have about 70% of the activity done, roughly. I want to add this to the report as you're looking at it, but I just penciled in some numbers here for the local revenue out of the general fund is at 91%. The state revenue is at 80%. Federal revenue is at 54%, but that's expected because federal money does not come in until you spend it, and then they reimburse you. So it doesn't come in during the year. So that's not an unexpected trend. But overall, we have 81% of all the revenue in, and have every expectation that we will meet the budget figures that we have in there. Management fund is at 82%. The capital projects, or this penny sales tax, that's at 64%. And that is purely because of the timing, because we will still have the May, June, July, and August, and the makeup money in November that goes against this budget. So that is an accurate picture as well of where that is expected to be at this time. Excuse me. And PEPL is at 93%, and that's a little high because we got E-rate money in April that we didn't know for sure what and when we would get. So that was Matt's success of getting that coming in, so that percentage is a little higher. The debt service or 40 fund, that's just where we pay the bonds. That's at 100%. That's a little bit skewed from the original budget because of that refinancing. and there was more money that showed in that transition. The nutrition fund is at 73%, but it's right on track to actually show a profit this year, even with charging as the allowed percentage of indirect cost to that. So we'll see if that plays out through the end of the year. We've never been able to do that before and have the food service fund stay above zero. So we'll see how that goes. Central printing, I mentioned that last time, that it's a little behind last year, and we're still working on that, and I'll address that a little bit more as we get close to the end of the year, because there's still some things that need to happen. So overall, we're about at 80% in most of the funds or above of the revenue that's coming in. And as comparison then, starting on page 42, and I'll just talk about the general fund, that when you talk about this time of the year, we should then have about 70% of expenditures going out, and the salaries are at 68% and benefits at 68%. Purchase services on page 43 is at 57%. Purchase property services, kind of the overhead, 64%. Some supply accounts are 60%, 61% and 68%. The equipment, the 700s, is 47%. And then the AEA flow through is 84%. So overall, we're at 68%. We are right on track with that, and even a little bit below the 70% that it should be at.
When you're mentioning these percentages, is that the year-to-date total at the right divided by the budget?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So I just wanted to just kind of highlight that, as that's where to kind of summarize and say that it's continuing to show expected balances at the end of the year. We're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow at Finance Committee with how that affects the end of the year and going into next year and so on. But I did want to then show you on page 49 the pictures that are worth 1,000 words. So that's 4,000 words right there. That takes a lot shorter time to say than. So it's showing that we are at or above the amounts that we had in 10 and 22 and 33 from last year. And PEPL is a little bit below last year, but that's always based on the particular projects we have going on. So all of the funds at this point are in very good shape going into the end of the year.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Coughlin? That was fast. Thank you. All right, seeing none, then I will move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Lindemann.
Yeah, I'll just mention a couple things. As I was kind of preparing for this superintendent update, I just noticed on my calendar all of the different things that kind of culminate in the last couple weeks. And so I'm full of gratitude for all of the things that happened during the year, but also appreciative of the opportunity to celebrate those. So I was just, on Thursday night we have our retirement celebration, and I don't know how many people are, Bev, Tara, how many people are retiring this year? Do we know that number right now? 50 something, yeah. So it's just a chance for us to recognize them and to honor them for all of their years of service. And I was just talking with Charlie Aldrich, who is a longtime PE teacher for us, and he said, I've been at this for 43 years, I think he said, or 37. It was one or the other. And I said, you know what? I think you've done your service, haven't you? And he said, I'm just ready for another phase of my life. And I am appreciative of all that they do. We have Gold Star Teacher tomorrow. We have a summer jobs program, which is something Crystal has really been with the mayor's summer jobs program, and so we have a graduation for them. We East High has the African American Males Achieving Success, which we heard about at one time. I think it was like AAMAS or AMOS. And so, that's coming up. There's a luncheon for them. There's a Project Search graduation coming up next Friday night. We culminated at the middle school with career fairs, and so I was out at Bunger last week, and I'll be going to Hoover this week, and I know Viridian, I actually saw Angela Weekly manning a table, and so it was kind of fun to see the kids, they decide what they want to be, and they figure out how much they have a month, and then they start choosing what they're going to, their housing and whatever, and it's so funny because they always pick this really amazing house, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, I don't have any money for anything else, vacation and all these things, so it's kind of a good opportunity to kind of let them experience that. So it takes so many people to make this district work, and what a great opportunity in the month of May to celebrate all of that work and just kind of bring it home. So with that, I have other things, but I think some of them you guys are going to mention as well, so I'm going to stop with that.
Well, if we don't mention them, you can jump back in. I'll give you the floor. So, all right. So I started with Rhonda last week. I'm trying to keep it all last 2 times ago. So I'm going to start with Sue tonight. I'm putting you on the spot.
I just was thinking of what Jane was saying too, of everything that's going on in the end of the year. It gets kind of hectic and everything, but we've heard it multiple times tonight that it's a community effort, and with the summer school stuff and just everything we have community effort. And so I just had a couple here. And they have been mentioned before, but just to reiterate that the Schools Foundation providing books for 81 of our second graders at Lou Henry through a grant that was awarded to a teacher. And then over at Pointer, the 5th grade class, starting with the Iowa Realtors Association, giving them a $250 grant. And so, here's Realtors, here's the Schools Foundation. And then also, I just wanted that tomorrow night at the amphitheater is the Arts at the Amphitheater at the River Loop, and they're encompassing Carver, and the middle school band will play at 5 o'clock. East will be performing, and there's going to be multiple art pieces for sale, and that's something that the community can just walk up and be a part of. And so I just wanted to be thankful tonight for all the different organizations that help our district flow, that provide money, that provide volunteers, because without them, our district would not be what it is.
Thanks, Sue. Angela?
So I didn't think I had anything, but I think I'll piggyback on something that Dr. Lindeman talked about in the partnership that we have with JA, and then JA partners with several businesses in the community to kind of give those, I believe it's 7th graders, all 7th graders in all the middle schools. We started with Carver, and then over the years has evolved to all the middle schools. The opportunity to kind of take a look at it. If you had an opportunity to volunteer for that, I know JAs could take volunteers at any time. It is the most eye-opening experience. I've done it for 5 years, and just to know how realistic some kids are and some aren't. Some of you guys, just FYI, your kids are always going to live with you when they get to the housing thing, and they're always going on vacation with you. So you want to start budgeting better.
Thanks, Angela. Jesse?
Okay, my
Jesse didn't think that was funny.
His daughter was not one of them.
Yeah, but have you met my son? Or one of the sons. Mine's gonna be. I just comment more personal nature, and it's, over the years, I've been involved with several different things in the community, with youth sports, Jays, different things, and in the last couple of weeks, last month, I just got to observe changes in. You watch a young man who's developed, and as an 8th grader now, and seeing it's like, wow, I knew this kid when I had him, I think, T-ball. I mean, that's how far back, and some of the kids that kind of come in and out, you see them, then you don't see them for a while, and they come back in, and just watching his transformation, and particularly shy kid, but just watching him grow and where he's at now, and just the things you see is like, that's parents play a part in that, but so much our staff and some of the things he's doing now that within the district, and just some of the you look at his engagement, you look at how he's interacting with adults and different things. It's like, wow, this kid has just blossomed, and he's blossomed with parents that love him, but also with teachers and support and programs, and just the programs within the district, programs that the district supports. And when you start seeing that change, you sometimes find out some of the kids that they kind of touch you along the way, and it's just seeing that transformation I think just speaks volumes to the great things going on within this district, the great things going on within our staff and our community, and it just puts a warm spot in your heart. So for all the people out there working with children and having those impacts, keep at it, because they do need it, and it does pay off in the long run. It's worth every minute. So
Thanks, Jesse. Rhonda?
I just want to give a shout out to the Kingsley Elementary students and say what an awesome job you all did last week at the Leader in Me conference. You all just treated us like VIPs, and you were so enthusiastic and so personable, and I loved it, and I just want to say thank you.
Mike?
I'm surprised no one has jumped on what I was going to say, but I'd just like to congratulate all the graduates that will be crossing the stage next week. Oh, it's on your list. Okay. And good luck to their future. I think you've in programs that we have going every year, our graduates are going to be more engaged and more ready for the future, and I have good feelings about the future of our district because of that, and again, just congratulate this outgoing seniors.
Thanks, Mike. Lyle?
There's been a fair amount of success on the athletic side for spring sports, but I think what particularly remarkable is Karis Roberts at Drake. She broke 2 meet records, I believe, one being
I brought my props.
the longest standing record down there with almost 50 years in the 100 meter dash. So I thought that was worth particular mention, and congratulations.
And piggybacking on that, the 4x100 East High girls who won it last year and won it this year, and all 4 of them are coming back next year.
Yes, they are. Yep. I actually printed it all out because I'm a nerd, because I had Pam help me. So there were 15 students from East High that qualified for state. There were 26 from West High that qualified for state. Beyond just Karis's record, West High had their 4x2 won, or took first place, won their whatever I'm trying to say, that event. They took 5th overall in the state, which is the second highest they've done since, I believe, 1990. I should let the proud track mom talk about this, but but both of those schools had an awesome. I mean, this is one of the best showings at state track I think East and West High have had in a long time. So I think it was an East High dad who said, "Stand up, Waterloo." So we should be very proud of them. So not to take anything away from any other spring sports, but they were on my radar too, Lyle. So I didn't mean to take.
No.
Are you done?
Now
that I went on for 10 minutes about that. So I just want to remind everyone that the board only meets once in the month of June and the month of July. And in June, we will be meeting the 3rd week instead of our normal 2nd and 4th. So we'll meet the 3rd week, the 19th. And we will both in June and July be meeting at 5 p.m. And just lastly, I want to say congrats to all of our kiddos, because they're almost done with school. June 7th, I mean, our seniors are done on Friday, but June 7th is our last day, and we won't have a board meeting before then. So, and it is a full day of instruction. Nobody's out at noon or anything, but I just want to say, wow, this year has gone really quickly. And so yay to our 2016-17 year almost being in the books. And as Sue would say, you still have 2 more weeks, so you got to get it done. Work hard. Exactly. So Finish strong. Exactly. So, is there any further business to come before the board? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, nope, that was everything.
You sure?
I had the track and I had the days of school and the graduates. So, but I knew somebody would get them, so that's wonderful.
And we do have soccer, and the West High boys soccer team is ranked, and they are doing very well. So it would
Divisional
be
champs, right?
fun to go out to
they
their
did win the
game, and
division.
they beat
They have
Cedar
games
Falls.
tonight.
That was good.
Right? Don't they have a meet?
I'm not sure.
Game?
I mean, most stuff Tuesday, Thursday, but I
Maybe
don't
it's
know.
tomorrow. East and West tomorrow.
But
so.
I know I did see they were divisional champs,
They
so I mean
play each
that's
other.
congratulations to
West
them.
and Cedar Falls girls play tomorrow night at the complex. I know that.
I think the boys play East and West play tomorrow then, or tonight for there. So, all right. Anything further? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second. Thanks, Angie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Yay.